Shalom, Yasharala. All praises to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. And as y'all brothers see on this commercial, man, things is getting very, very interesting. A lot of the things that we've been learning, we've been looking up, we've been understanding about this world, though they may not be as blatantly apparent, are starting to come out left and right. And we're entering into a very peculiar time, a beautiful time, because we understand that these things must come to pass in order for the Most High and Yahawashi to return, for Yahawashi's kingdom to be established on the earth. But we also understand that there's going to be many growing pains, and we see it across the NFL and the NBA. You know, different factions, different organizations, whether they're using agents of chaos, whether they're using, you know, their sleeper agents, they got, you know, paid federal agents. You know, these things are starting to ramp up more and more, and it's just showing you that it's causing a bigger and bigger division, because the powers that be see that, you know, the doctrine, the understanding of who the real Israelites are is starting to spread like wildfire. And obviously, if you see your opponent starting to grow in strength, you have to do things to stop them, just like what Pharaoh did to, you know, our people back in ancient Egypt. Now, I was going to do a more extensive video on this in regards to Kyrie going back and forth and the book Hebrews to Negroes. But I had seen on Patreon, brothers were stating how Chronicles of Judah, he's going to do a video breaking those things down. And just me personally, I'm not the best when it comes to a lot of hidden occult symbolism. So I just figured I'll wait to get his perspective on certain things. But I do want to cover these two articles, because these two articles in relation to Kanye and in relation to Kyrie is kind of showing you the media narrative, the global narrative, that the national narrative that they have when it comes to not only those two, but the statements that they've said in relation to us. Let's get into it real quick. So this is ADL.org, and basically this was a story in regards to Kanye and how they labeled that extremists are praising, you know, his statements. It says, Ye, formerly known as Kanye, has publicly espoused numerous anti-Semitic and racist tropes in recent weeks. Extremists across the ideological spectrum have embraced his recent comments. The Nation of Islam and extremist Black Hebrew Israelite sects have defended Ye's statements about Black people and Jewish identity, and use the opportunity to promote anti-Semitic claims and conspiracy theories. Let's stop right there. We obviously understand NOI, Nation of Islam, the ties go all the way back to the 40s, the 50s. You had Muhammad Ali. You had, I forgot the other dude's name, the head leader at that time. But keyword, they said extremist Black Hebrew Israelite sects. So what they're doing is they're separating the quote-unquote extreme sects with the more docile sects, the sects that have that Christian vibe. You know, the sects like GOCC, that includes everybody. And they're labeling the difference, because when we look at the doctrine and the understanding, the quote-unquote more extreme sects have the actual truth. They speak about Gentiles going into slavery. They speak about the Edomites going into slavery and eventually being destroyed, and how Yahawashi is going to come and ravage and destroy the vast majority of kingdoms on the earth and rule. And we have to understand that when it comes to things like this, anything that they quote unquote label as extreme and it's associated with the understanding of the Bible, that's because they understand that is the true knowledge, and they have to demonize it and ridicule it as much as possible to keep away as many lost sheep from it as possible. And more importantly, to have the other nations, the many merchants and, capital corporations find a way to defund it. And just in my opinion, that's what the whole Kanye and especially the Kyrie Irving statements for. We all understand what Kyrie is. Kyrie is an omnis. He says he loves all religions and he looks into all things. But at the same time, Kyrie's not willing to to back down from sharing his history. These are words that he said. So you can obviously see the double-mindedness. And yeah, the brother, he opened up to a certain extent. But you got to look at that man very carefully. He is an agent of chaos. And at the end of the day, just in my opinion, I feel like they're using him for controlled opposition. Just my take on it. With Kanye, I feel like Kanye is more sincere. You can tell. But at the end of the day, those are two men we got to be very wary and very careful of, because at any moment and at any time, we never know what they may do. and they've had their hands, and they're very prominent. So at the end of the day, the scripture said it's harder for a camel to enter into the needle, enter into the hole of a needle, than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom. So whether them brothers really come into this thing or not, us brothers, we got to stay vigilant, and we can't be fooled, because we can't be ignorant of Satan's devices, man. So getting back into this, it says, yea, statements about black people and Jewish identity and the black Hebrew Israelites have used the opportunity to promote anti-Semitic claims and conspiracy theories. And again, those two words charged up: anti-Semitic claims and conspiracy theories. And what they do with things like this, those are like, how do I explain this? Those are like hot words. So essentially, when people hear those words, it immediately brings a sense of rage, a sense of doubt, and a sense of looking at whoever's speaking on the things that they're calling conspiracies as something that doesn't have any value, and it's not valid. And also, it gives the picture that people who believe in these things are loony, they're crazy, and that something eventually needs to be done with them. It's all programming. It says, white supremacists have expressed their delight at Ye, naming the Jews, and defended Ye's rights to free speech. Other extremists and conspiracy theorists, including Proud Boys and QAnon adherents, have also commented on Ye's anti-Semitism, and reports that Ye may purchase the right-wing social media platform Parler. Some right-wing extremists believe that Ye's potential acquisition of Parler, in combination with Elon Musk's theoretical purchase of Twitter and former President Trump's growing Truth social platform, will usher in a new era of social media defined by principles of free speech and free of alleged left-wing censorship. And this was key because you got groups like Proud Boys. They already mentioned the Nation of Islam. Those are government agent movements, dog. Those are controlled opposition. And even with some camps in the quote-unquote black Hebrew Israelite sect, they are controlled and bought and paid for by Esau. So when you see at the end where they said white supremacists have expressed their delight at Ye's naming the Jews, it's a way for them to link the so-called black man, the so-called astute black man who understands the way of the Bible, to link him with extremist groups like Proud Boys, with white supremacists like quote-unquote the KKK, even though us brothers understand that many of those Nazi ways, many of those, white supremacist ways, the same people who are politicians behind the scenes are step in step with them. So essentially, they're trying to link the two principles, white with black, black with white. So whenever that time comes where they need to defame and silence any party that goes against what the liberals are doing and what the international bankers want to do with this society, they can lump us all up in one group. Because there's a video that I watched from Chronicles of Judah, and all y'all brothers, y'all can check it out if you guys Patreon. It's on his Patreon too. It's a video in regards to Alex Jones. And he was basically just reiterating in that video that the conservative Caucasian is the last stand of individual freedoms, whether it comes to, the NRA, National Rifle Association, the freedom of having guns, the freedom of having free speech. That is really the last defense when it comes to having this sort of understanding. But they also have to lump in us, the Israelites, because they understand that according to prophecy, we will eventually rise up, and we will speak against many of the wickedness and the wicked imaginations that these people have done, and basically incite, Jakes to wake up nationwide and worldwide. So they're trying to kill two birds with one stone at the same time. Now, we obviously understand that the Most High isn't going to allow that to happen to us. He may kill off all them white supremacist groups. I mean, you can read Psalms 91. It says 1,000 shall die on thy left and 10,000 on that right. So if you are of the elect in that day, you're going to be saved. But all these false doctrines and white groups, bro, the Most High not saving them. It is what it is. But when you look at that sentence where it says right wings extremists believe Ye's potential acquisition of Parler, Elon Musk's theoretical purchase of Twitter, and Trump's growing Truth social platform will usher in a new era of social media defined by principles of free speech and free of alleged left-wing censorship. Essentially, that's their next step to try to fully censorize and have full control over what's being stated on the internet. When I woke up today, I was on Instagram and I checked Naquam, who's the leader of Watchmen for Israel, and he basically posted how One of his channels called Cold Cuts. Y'all brothers might be familiar with it. They basically took the whole channel down without it even having any strikes. So what I feel like is going to happen, and we don't know if this is true or not, is they're going to start to pick off many influential sects like, GMS, Watchmen for Israel. We obviously understand Sakari, IUIC, and them could potentially get brought down, but I'm going to get into that a little bit later in this article. So I want to go down. This is them talking about the Nation of Islam. Y'all brothers understand Nation of Islam's role. And if you're new, just understand that Nation of Islam, while they do, follow many tenets that, that radical blacks have, that's ultimately not the way. Islam is not the way. Nation of Islam is not the way. Those are all false philosophies that are going to lead you to the rock, that are going to lead you to worshiping the rock. Because Allah is the moon god. And that rock in Mecca is the cube of Saturn. And that little hole at the bottom of the Kaaba, that's for the vagina of the mother goddess. So for you to be a so-called black man, for you to be of the chosen lineage, you worshiping that, you're worshiping a false god, and the Most High is going to kill and destroy you. So just understand that. But I want to go down. And let's go down. So this is what I wanted to look at. It says extremist black Hebrew Israelite sects. It says national and local leaders of various extremist black Hebrew Israelite sects, including Israel United in Christ, IUIC, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, ISUPK, and the Sakari black Hebrew Israelites, reacted to Ye's comments by reiterating his claim that black people are Jews and therefore cannot be anti-Semitic, praising his role in spreading their teachings and lauding his bravery for fighting against Jewish control. Now we understand that these three groups don't just say that blacks are the Jews, but they also include, the indigenous natives, and they also include the Hispanics. So whenever they sit here and say black Hebrew Israelites, it's because it's a good way for them to program and control the people into thinking that the movement is racist. Now we understand that the majority of the Israelites are so-called blacks. We understand that. But for them to sit there and say, they believe that blacks are the true Jews, it's a way for them to racialize this movement and to allow an extra level of sense of us being prejudiced as a way to demonize us. It's an old tactic, and honestly, these dudes is fucking sloppy the way that they're doing it and setting it up. But I wanted to look at the three groups. You got Israel United in Christ, the biggest group, the group led by Bishop Nathaniel, the group that many brothers have stated has signed a 501c3, and many brothers have stated that they have a lot of Freemasonry symbolism in a lot of their head leaders. You gotta be very careful of a group like that, dog, because just my understanding, I feel like that can lead to them being used as pawns, which a lot of these groups will be. Then you also have Israel School of Universal Practical Knowledge, ISUPK, and they're another alleged group that many brothers claim have signed a 501c3. Now I don't know in particular with ISUPK, but they are the original, and I was talking with a brother the other day. They had an interview in the 90s where they were interviewing them on different shows and things like that. And me and one of the brothers that I used to do videos with, we actually did a video sometime last year where the second in command, General Tazariak, there was a recording of him saying how he took the jab. You know what I'm saying? So there are certain things that they've done that, just in my opinion, you got to be very wary of, especially IUIC, but ISUPK as well. And then we got Sakari. Now y'all brothers know how I feel about Sakari. Very carnal camp. They've done a lot of reckless stuff. They've brought guns to camp. There was a video of how Guerrilla Hebrew had retweeted one of their members was spray painting the Most High's 4 letters on the side of a train, dog. I be seeing them in the clubs with brothers like DC Young Fly, and I already did a video on DC Young Fly about how he claims he's an Israelite, but at the same time he has a cult symbolism in some of his pictures, the red, white, and black for Pan. So just me personally, for you to be a real brother in this thing, you gotta abstain from all appearances of evil. And just with Sakari, bro, they give off tips that they could have taken the bag. Now, this is all alleged, of course. With all three groups, things that I'm telling you are alleged. But you have to look and understand that not all these groups are who they say they are. So if you have a high media platform naming these groups, I'm not saying that they all could be bought and paid for, but what I am saying is that they all can be used at the end of the day to bring much blame to what brothers is trying to bring out for our people. So that's something that you got to understand. You see what I'm saying? And let's continue on this group. It says, Ye's statements that black people are Jews echo black Hebrew Israelite teachings about which racial and ethnic groups today are the true descendants of the biblical Israelites. ISUPK leaders referencing the group's street preaching practices commented that everywhere you go, you see us on the corner teaching. Where did Kanye know it from? Learning from us. In videos across their channels, IUIC members rejected the widespread accusation that Ye's statements were anti-Semitic. So the proverbial fool, the proverbial agent of chaos, they're linking him with us, saying that he learned this information from us. So you already know the low-level person on the news reading this or watching this is going to associate, oh, them fucking blacks, man, they're out here spreading this information. We need to get rid of them. That's the easy way. That's like 5th grade elementary easy way for them to demonize it. It's pretty obvious. But continuing on, it says, members of IUIC Kansas City chapter, for example, commented, these Azenaki Jews or Azenaki Edomites, they're not Jews. They're not the Jews. You understand? So then to say Ye is anti-Semitic, he is Semitic. And then it kind of goes into their channel about how they got 122,000 subscribers. I don't really want to get into all that. But, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, I do want y'all brothers to understand that they did put us in this article and they are giving us mainstream national attention. So that's a telltale sign that they may have plans to try to eradicate many of the groups and many of the preachings and teachings that they have. So you brothers can't be surprised if that family of the word comes. And this is all of the Most High's will. It just, you know, obviously with the Most High, he's probably done, he's spread the word, man. He's been spreading the word for decades and decades and decades. So when you see this is also a spiritual sign that, yes, while the Most High is using Kanye and Kyrie indirectly to wake up a lot of his people, because everybody talking about it. Every so-called black person in America and even outside of America who follows mainstream media, you know, news, whether it be with Kanye or whether it be with Kyrie, they talking about this. You can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, they posting it on the Shade Room. The fact that it's getting so much coverage, a lot of jakes are gonna wake up from this, and if it be the Lord's will, get the proper understanding on who the biblical Israelites are and who the biblical God of the Bible is. So it's a beautiful thing. But for us to sit here and say that Kanye and Kyrie are tenets of truth seekers and that the Lord is dealing with them directly, nah. Come on now, bro. All right, brother. So this is the other article in regards to Kyrie. You obviously understand his tweet. He basically tweeted a link tied to the book Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. And not only did the Nets general manager, you know, get on him, but also Adam Silver. He ushered in that the NBA does not support hate speech. And when you look at it, you got the NFL releasing a commercial. You got the NBA condemning, you know, the tenets of what Kyrie Irving believes in. So again, you see both leagues working in tandem to try to, you know, promote this message that they're not supporting any anti-Semitic hate speech, right? So let's read it. It says, Kyrie Irving took to Twitter once again Saturday morning, this time to address a previous offensive tweet. It was still a topic of conversation by the end of the Brooklyn Nets game that day. Irving garnered significant backlash Thursday when he shared a link to a documentary called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America, based on a book on the same name by Ronald Dalton Jr. Both the book and movie were criticized for the anti-Semitic message. And I remember I was on the phone with a brother and I was scrolling through Twitter. And while I don't follow Kyrie Irving on Twitter, I do follow a lot of other jakes who understand that they're Israelites. And one of them had, you know, commented about it. And I clicked on it and I immediately, you know, my antennas raised up because I was like, so not only did Kanye say something, but you got Kyrie following suit with them. And you have to understand, when you have many celebrities following suit, especially celebrities that we understand, you know, through MK Ultra, are agents of chaos, are in a sense controlled opposition. Now again, while Kyrie Irving, I feel like he's not as sincere as Kanye, we understand the narrative built up around him in the news the last few years. Flat earther, anti-veer. You see what I'm saying? Also, when he had that interview with the dude, the first thing that the dude asked him was in regards to Alex Jones, because again, Alex Jones is linked to the white conservative Caucasians in America that they're trying to demonize. And, you know, Kyrie has reposted things like that. So again, they're intermixing, the white conservative Caucasian with the quote unquote woke Black American who's trying to, look into their history. So essentially, Kyrie was bringing in more chaos. Just my perspective and my opinion on it, But continuing on. It says, I am an omnist and I meant no disrespect to anyone's religious beliefs. The anti-Semitic label that is being pushed on me is not justified and does not reflect the reality or truth I live in every day. I embrace and want to learn from all walks of life and religions. So Kyrie, he's telling you what he believes in. And this dude is all bugged out. And that's the reason why somebody like him is a great pawn, because he has all these different movements, all these different beliefs that he can wake up one day and believe something else. So at any point, if the powers that be want to demonize a specific movement, just in my personal opinion, and everything that I'm saying is alleged, but they can just use Kyrie and tweet something and people, look at Kyrie going again. These people, they know the minds of the average person. They know how we idolize a lot of these characters. Not me or you, but I'm talking about just the average American, man. How we idolize these characters. So at the end of the day, they will use them for their gain. Don't think that your enemy won't use any and everybody when it comes to a lot of these narratives being pushed. Now I want to go down. It says he signed the tweet Halal, his Lakota name, which means little mountain. Irving's late mother was a member of the tribe and lived on the reservation until her adoption at a young age. His late grandmother and great-grandparents have also ties to the reservation. After sharing the documentary, Irving tweeted, "Now let me get ready for this business date I have tonight, and the light is beginning to dawn," bringing heightened scrutiny in the wake of rapper Kanye West's blatantly anti-Semitic comments. And that tweet, "the light is beginning to dawn," it also relates to what I was speaking on in regards to Kanye's interview. How Kanye was saying that so-called blacks needed to wake up and that our people needed to wake up with information. And they're basically saying how our people need to become quote-unquote illuminated. Now, not illuminated with the... They're more so talking about becoming illuminated with information, but we understand that they are illuminated ones when it comes to, the Mystery Babylonian Kemetic school system. But the way that they can frame it is that they want their people to see the light. And we understand that in order for our people to see the light, they have to read and they have to seek out information and knowledge. Now, we seek out information and knowledge through the Bible. But when it comes to Kyrie and Kanye, I just can't sit here and say that they both feel that certain way. Because, again, anybody can tweet something. Anybody can repost something. But until you actually devote your life to the real and true understanding of the Bible, again, I'm taking everything that you say with a grain of salt. But what the powers that be can use that as is they can use that to demonize so-called blacks receiving information on their history and try to potentially take it off the shelves, take it off of Amazon, silence the men who are bringing out the understanding on the streets across the four corners of the earth, and essentially, bring on the famine of the word, but which is all of the Heavenly Father is doing at the end of the day. And I want to go into this right here. It says, according to Rolling Stone, the documentary Irving shares put forward ideas and lines with more extreme factions of the Black Hebrew Israelites. And this is the part that made me laugh. It says, which have a long history of misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, and especially anti-Semitism. And you want to know how stupid and how docile the average American is when you actually read the Bible, right? And I'm doing this according to what people in this society claim you are. If you're misogynist, if you're homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, they say that misogyny is somebody who doesn't want to see men and women as equal counterparts. They say that people who are discriminate against women. So they label us that. Why? Because we say that a woman is not above a man and that a woman needs to know her place. And a lot of people in this society, they'll hear you say that and call you a misogynist. They claim that we're homophobic, right? When at the end of the day, if you truly believed in the Bible, if you truly read the Bible from start to finish and you understood what it was saying, you know that the Most High, the God of the Bible, has a great indignation towards people who commit fornication. A man having sex with a man, a woman having sex with a woman, you being sexually fluid, having sex with animals, having sex with children, which is something that they're going to start to promote very, very soon. So for you to sit here and say that we're homophobic, you're essentially saying that the God of the Bible is the same. So you see how all these people who are Christians, who are quote unquote Muslims, who are quote unquote Eastern Orthodox, Catholic, they really don't believe in the Bible at all. Because if anybody were to read that and believe that, you're essentially saying that you don't follow the same tenets in the Bible, because the Bible blatantly states that. But that's how you understand that the vast majority of people on earth aren't meant to understand the Bible. And then you got xenophobia, you got Islamophobia, because we obviously get on, the false religion of Islam, which is going to lead a lot of people to death and destruction. And then they said especially anti-Semitism. And if you want to use the modern day definition, not the true definition of anti-Semitism, if you want to use the mainstream liberal media's definition of anti-Semitism, the Most High is anti-Semitic, because they're not Jews, they are Edomites. And what does Romans chapter 9 and verse 13 says? I have loved Jacob, but Esau have I hated forever. Go back to the book of Exodus. The tribe of Amalek, I will have indignation against them forever. So the same people who run the world, the same people who control the media, control the sports media, all these things, even though, obviously what I'm saying, it can't be proven with full evidence, it's alleged. Going off of that, the Most High has indignation and hatred for them. So when you understand that these people really just hate the Most High and the things that he teaches and the things that he's stipulated to his people, you understand why we could never be with them. And that's why a lot of these statements, I love Jews and I'm a Jew too and you're a Jew too, like what Kanye's saying, that brother's confused. What Kyrie saying, I have love and respect for all religion. Hey, I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. And this is why at the beginning I said, you know, and you understand what we signed up for. Whoever's listening to this, you're going to be labeled these things, because if you want to go with modern day society's definition of what they claim these things are and what us brothers believe in, then they're all true. And you have to be able to accept that. The demonization is going to come. The ridicule is going to come. But hey, what did Yahawashi say? He who denies me in front of man, I will deny him in front of my Father. He who loves mother and father, mother, daughter, son, brethren more than me is not worthy of me. If you lose this world for me, then you will gain everything. But if you want to try to save those things and you lose me, then you're not worthy of me. I'd rather you be hot or cold, but because you are lukewarm, I will spit you out of thy mouth. And we're seeing that with the tribulation that's going to come upon us, these are going to be labels, and it's going to get a lot worse than just them demonizing us on the internet. It's going to eventually come to us losing jobs, us losing business opportunities, us losing connections, until the point where this is Nazi Germany reincarnated, and those who are undesirable and who don't want to follow the agenda, they're going to get persecuted, captured, and many of them is going to get killed. It is what it is.